Hey everyone, if you've ever wanted to seriously level up your woodworking projects, take them from pretty good to absolutely perfect, then you are in the right place. Today, we're going to demystify a tool that is a total game changer for any workshop, the jointer.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You spend all this time cutting two pieces of wood that are supposed to fit together perfectly, but when you go to join them, there's that little gap. Ugh, it's so frustrating. It can completely ruin the look of a project. But what if I told you there's a tool designed to make that problem disappear? Well, meet the jointer. This machine right here is your secret weapon. Its entire job, its whole reason for being, is to take wood that's a little warped or rough or uneven and make it perfectly flat, straight, and smooth. This is the key to getting those seamless, pro-level joints every single time.
Okay, but before we dive in and start making a mess of sawdust, we have got to talk about the 3 golden rules. You see, mastering the joiner isn't just about flipping a switch. It's really about understanding the framework for doing things safely, correctly, and to a high standard.
Yep, it all comes down to just 3 things. 3 fundamental ideas that are going to be your guide for everything you do on this machine. If you get these 3 things down, you're going to be safe, you're going to have a repeatable process, and your work is going to look amazing.
So, let's break it down real quick. First, you've got guidelines. Think of these as your non-negotiable safety rules. Stuff like always using push blocks and never ever trying to joint a board that's super short. Then you have procedures. This is your step-by-step plan, like always flattening one face before you even think about touching an edge. And finally, standards. This is your quality control. Grabbing a straight edge to double-check that your board is actually perfectly flat. Get these 3 right, and you're golden. All right. Now we get to the fun part. What can this machine actually do? The joiner is not a one-trick pony, not at all. It's got a whole bunch of moves. So let's get into the 6 essential operations that are going to totally transform your woodworking.
First up, we have surfacing. This is the foundation for everything else. You're taking the wide, flat face of a board, running it over the joiner, and making it perfectly, totally level. No more wobbles, no more rocking, just flat.
So why is this such a big deal? Well, because if your board isn't truly flat to begin with, then none of your measurements will be right and your joints will never ever be tight. Surfacing a rough board is always step 1. Next up is edging. So once you have one perfectly flat face, you press that face up against the jointer's fence and run the edge of the board over the cutters. What this does is create a perfectly straight edge that's at an exact 90-degree angle to that flat face you just made. This is absolutely crucial for things like making a tabletop. When you glue a bunch of boards together side by side, you need those edges to be perfectly straight and square. That's how you get that incredible, almost invisible seam. Edging makes that happen. Operation number 3 is chamfering. This is where we start getting a little more decorative. A chamfer is really just a small angled cut you make on a sharp corner to kind of break that hard edge. And this simple little cut gives you 2 big wins. A chamfered edge on, say, a table leg doesn't just look more finished and professional, it also makes the whole piece safer by getting rid of that sharp corner that could splinter or be sharp to the touch. Next, let's talk about beveling. Now, this sounds a lot like chamfering, I know, but there is a really important difference. A bevel is also an angled cut, but it usually runs along the entire edge of a board, instead of just knocking off a small corner. So picture the nice slanted edge on a wooden shelf or around a picture frame. That's a bevel. It's a design choice, something you do to add a bit of style and visual flair to your project. So to make it crystal clear, let's put them side by side. A chamfer is a small cut on a corner, and you do it for both safety and a finished look. A bevel is a bigger, more obvious angled cut along a whole edge, and it's pretty much all about design. See the difference? Simple as that. Okay, our 5th operation is tapering, and this is a really cool one. This is where you gradually shave off more wood from one end of a board than the other, which creates this beautiful, elegant slope. This is how you get those classic, refined shapes you see on high-end furniture. That graceful taper on a chair leg or a table leg. That's a sign of real craftsmanship, and the jointer is what lets you do it with amazing precision. And last but not least, our 6th operation, rebating. A rebate, which you might also hear called a rabbet, is basically an L-shaped cut that runs along the edge of your wood. It's like cutting a little step right into the edge. And this is an incredibly useful cut when you're building things. That little step, that groove, is the perfect spot to sit the back panel of a cabinet or a pane of glass in a frame.
It creates a super strong, super clean joint where one piece can sit snugly inside the other.
So, you've got the 6 operations down. You're ready to build. But to keep getting those perfect results, you have to take care of your tool. Trust me, proper maintenance is every bit as important as your technique.
And look, it's not complicated stuff. We're talking about keeping it clean from sawdust because that can build up and throw off your accuracy. And it means checking now and then to make sure your blades are sharp and aligned correctly. A well-maintained machine is a safe machine, and it's one that's going to last you for years and years.
When you really think about it, the joiner does something pretty amazing. It takes a piece of raw, imperfect lumber, and it turns it into a material that's just full of potential, ready to become anything you can imagine.
So from perfectly flat tabletops to elegantly tapered legs, the power to create that professional quality work is right there in your hands. So really, there's only one question left to ask. What are you going to build first?